Saturday qualifying is just a few hours away at Silverstone, so time for a little bit of daily news here at GPFans before we get back to the on-track action today and the serious business of the British Grand Prix, with Lewis Hamilton continuing to react to F1's reaction to the racial abuse that he received earlier in the week. There's an interesting front-runner at the end of FP2 yesterday with a very fast Spaniard leading the pack, and Sergio Perez is worried about Red Bull's British Grand Prix weekend. Let's dive into the news headlines. There are worries for Red Bull Racing this British Grand Prix weekend, with Sergio Perez telling the press after Friday's practice sessions that his RB18 was miles off the pace compared to the simulator work that he'd done leading up to this weekend's event. It was a problematic Friday for the team, with Max Verstappen barely running an FP1 before playing more of a guessing game, as he called it, in FP2, with the Dutchman saying the lack of laps in the first session made Friday's second running much more of a problem, although he was quick to add that it's not a big issue for the weekend as a whole. His teammate Sergio Perez was 0.8 of a second adrift of the pace of Ferrari's Carlos Sainz, who led FP2, with Lando Norris, Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso all finding greater pace. It wasn't a great session, conceded Perez. From the preparation we had in the simulator, the car was miles off, so we assume there is something going on that we need to understand. The Mexican driver believes that Red Bull have started the weekend on the back foot, and he and the team need to sit down and try to understand why their simulator runs are so off the on-track pace. Elsewhere, Lewis Hamilton has criticised the scripted reactions from F1 as the sport reacted to the racial slurs used by Nelson Piquet not once but twice when talking about the 7-time world champion. While many have come out and supported the Mercedes driver, including Sebastian Vettel, who has urged the F1 community to do more to tackle such behaviour, saying it takes balls to tackle abuse, Hamilton feels much of the statements and reactions to the news, with Piquet also using homophobic language towards the British driver, have been scripted and knee-jerk reactions. They probably already have. I'm not saying that we Mercedes do, but you've got to imagine that everyone's PR people have a script ready for something like that. Crisis management. It's not enough. Now it's about real action. We've got to actually start acting. As I said, it comes back down to, I put it to F1 and the media, we should not be giving these people a platform, insisted Hamilton, before once more referring to the old voices of F1 being given too much airtime to voice their archaic views. And finally, a quick reference back to Friday's on-track action, with Valtteri Bottas leading a rain-sodden Silverstone in FP1, with around half the grid not putting in a lap time in the session. Lewis Hamilton was second and Carlos Sainz was third in the first runnings of the day. FP2, however, saw more on-track action, and it was the Spaniard Sainz who topped the pile, with Hamilton once more on his tail in second. A good sign for McLaren this weekend was Lando Norris in third place, ahead of Max Verstappen in fourth, Charles Leclerc and Fernando Alonso ahead of the next Red Bulls of Sergio Perez in seventh, with George Russell rounding out the top 8. Who, after Friday's action, do you think has the best chance this British Grand Prix weekend? You can follow all the action on gpfans.com and GPFans Global on Twitter and Instagram as well.